Contestant number 67, JonBenet Ramsey.
She is the child of Patsy and John Ramsey from Boulder, Colorado. She has blonde hair, green eyes,
Tonight, new evidence about the murder of a 6-year-old beauty queen and about the prime suspect who might have killed her.
Name and how old you are?
My name is JonBenet Ramsey and I'm 5
The torture and killing of JonBenet Ramsey in her parents' home on Christmas night reverberated around the world. It made her the most famous murdered child in history, and her millionaire parents, accused of the killing, the most hated couple in America.
We, the jury, find JonBenet Ramsey liable for the wrongful death of JonBenet Ramsey.
John Ramsey liable. And as to Patsy?
We, the jury, find Patsy Ramsey liable for the wrongful death of JonBenet Ramsey.
Because we're the parents, we're the murderers? Is that the thesis? It's sad if that's what we think as a society of ourselves.
I don't know what they think. All I know is we didn't do it. I don't know what happened. God knows, and he's not telling.
Few believed them. But despite all the accusations and outrage, the parents were never charged. Today they live quietly in Michigan, a remote area of the US, north of Detroit. America is beginning to forget. The murder of their daughter is slipping out of the headlines, but that is now about to change. A completely new team of investigators has recently uncovered dramatic new facts about the murder. They have identified a number of suspects, including one who is now their prime suspect.
We've gained more information in the last year than probably the prior 4 or 5 years. It's now a whole new area of the JonBenet Ramsey case. We now have evidence that will tell you who the killer is.
Boulder, Colorado, one of America's most remarkable cities. At the foot of the Rocky Mountains, its high-tech companies have attracted many of America's most talented people. With its own skiing resort, exclusive restaurants and bars, it is a haven of affluence and privilege. But the murder of JonBenet, 7 years ago, has revealed a darker, bleaker side to Boulder. The story of that murder began here at the Ramseys' home on Boxing Day morning, 1996. Her parents say they awoke early to find their 6-year-old daughter JonBenet missing from her bedroom and a ransom note lying on the stairs. Minutes later, Patsy Ramsey called the police.
Kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what's going on, okay? There's a note left and our daughter's gone. A note was left and your daughter is gone? How old is your daughter? 6 years old. She's blonde. 6 years old. Oh my God, please.
The police arrived within minutes. From the outset, they suspected the parents. Their suspicion grew when John Ramsey, asked by the police to search the house, found his daughter's body in this small cellar room. By the time JonBenet's body was removed from the house that night, police already believed the parents were responsible. It was leaked to the media that not only was there no evidence of a break-in, but no one could have got in because there were no footprints in the snow. The media was then told that there was evidence of pornography and sexual abuse. When the police leaked their belief that Patsy Ramsey had killed her daughter in a fit of temper about bedwetting and then staged a kidnapping to cover it up, media coverage became hysterical.
Tonight on Hard Copy, a bombshell in Boulder. A published report puts JonBenet Ramsey in her parents' own bed when the brutal attack began.
The most likely scenario is that JonBenet went up to her parents' bedroom, wet and weepy. Her frazzled mom completely lost it and battered her.
Police interrogators put the bedwetting theory to Patsy Ramsey.
How about the theory that this was an accident? JonBenet got up, or something happens, there's an accident, somebody...
You're going down the wrong path, buddy.
Okay. Somebody accidentally, or somebody gets upset over bedwetting. That's one of the things that's been proposed. Okay.
Didn't happen. If she got up in the night and ran into somebody, it was somebody there that wasn't supposed to be there. I don't know what transpired after that, whether it was an accident, intentional, premeditated, or whatnot. But it was not one of her 3 family members that were also in that house. Period. End of statement.
The Boulder police were convinced she was lying. Outside prosecutors were appointed who took the case to a grand jury, asking that the Ramseys be indicted for murder. Yet District Attorney Alex Hunter surprised everybody when he announced the result.
We do not have sufficient evidence to warrant the filing of charges against anyone who has been investigated at this time.
Most Americans, led to believe the parents were guilty, greeted the announcement with disbelief. But 2 years ago, ITV's Real Crime revealed the shocking truth behind the decision not to indict the Ramseys. It showed that the case against the parents was spurious and untrue. No evidence of sexual abuse or pornography had ever been found. And police photographs showed not only hardly any snow around the house, but clear evidence of a break-in. ITV also revealed that the police theory that JonBenet had been killed by a sudden angry blow was also untrue. Forensic evidence shows she had been hit on the head, but only after being immobilized with a stun gun, tortured and garroted.
If someone is hit on the head with any force at all, it'll either swell or it will bruise or it will bleed. In the case of JonBenet, there was no swelling, there was no bleeding, there was no bruising. If JonBenet was hit on the head first, there would be some length of time between the time you would even think of staging this crime. Then you would have to go out and you would have to find duct tape, you would have to find cord, and you would have to construct a garrote, and you would have to tie her hands, and you would have to bring her down into the basement. And then you would have to sexually assault your own daughter. If that would have taken all that time to do this, there would have been massive bleeding inside that skull. So it's ludicrous even to think that the head blow came first. The head blow came last, almost at the time of death.
Despite this, and despite the grand jury verdict, the Boulder police maintained unrelenting pressure on the parents.
If I told you right now that we have trace evidence that appears to link you to the death of JonBenet, what would you tell me?
That is totally impossible. Go retest.
How is it impossible?
I did not kill my child. I didn't have a thing to do with it.
And I'm not talking, you know, somebody's guess or some rumor or some story.
I don't care what you're talking about.
I'm talking about scientific evidence.
I don't give a flying flip how scientific it is. Go back to the damn drawing board. I didn't do it. John Ramsey didn't do it, and we didn't have a clue of anybody who did do it. My life has been hell from that day forward. And I want nothing more than to find out who is responsible for this. Okay? I mean, I want to work with you, not against you. Okay? This child was the most precious thing in my life. And I can't stand the thought of thinking that somebody's out here walking on the street. God knows they might do it again to some other child. You know, quit screwing around asking me about things that are ridiculous and let's find the person that did this. Criminy.
There was widespread concern that murder detective Lou Smith had resigned because of how the parents were being treated.
I think the case is in deep trouble. And I think it's in deep trouble because the Boulder Police Department has really staked its reputation on the Ramseys being guilty. And once that's happened, that police department can't perform its function.
That edition of Real Crimes was so controversial it did not go out in the US for over a year. But insiders in Boulder knew what was happening. Within days of the program's eventual transmission, District Attorney Mary Keenan took the case away from local police and called Lou Smith back to lead a new investigation. For most Americans still convinced of the parents' guilt, it was another unexpected twist. But they are about to hear much more extraordinary news. During the past year, the new investigation set up by the DA's office has uncovered dramatic facts about the killing that will shock America and which identify an entirely new prime suspect. After ITV reported on the Ramsey murder, Lou Smith, the detective who did most to clear the parents, was called back by the Boulder District Attorney to lead a new investigation. Because of this, he is bound by the confidentiality of her office and no longer able to talk to us. But the Boulder DA's office is neither equipped nor funded to carry out major murder investigations, so it has also sought the help of private detectives, once employed by the Ramseys to hunt the killer. These investigators have been involved from the beginning. Although now unpaid volunteers, because of the DA's limited resources, they are an important part of the new investigation, and they are free to talk. They are led by Ollie Gray, one of America's leading private detectives. He and his partner John San Agustin have worked on some of the nation's biggest cases. The Boulder police tried to hire them the day after the murder, but only to pursue the parents, so they declined to help. David Williams, one of Colorado's leading private detectives, was also involved from the first day. Former investigator Jennifer Getty was hired a week later by the parents. They are deeply disturbed by what they have discovered.
There was information turned over to the Boulder police that there were several individuals who had not yet been interviewed who lived on the block.
It has become clear that the Boulder police even failed to carry out proper house-to-house inquiries.
We're finding out that there were people that were never even followed up. I mean, literally people within, 100 feet. There were certain individuals in the neighborhood who had criminal backgrounds that had never been talked to.
They include two men living near the Ramsey home who left Boulder immediately after the murder. Both have criminal records, yet neither has been interviewed. Two convicted pedophiles who live nearby have also never been eliminated. These detectives have found, too, that the Boulder police dismissed important information if it pointed away from the Ramseys.
Even though the report says they should be eliminated.
They would either treat it with indifference or they would attempt to discredit it. Early on, the Boulder Police Department made their minds up about the Ramseys, and that was that.
Frustrated by police indifference, many with information passed it instead to the Ramsey lawyers. Eventually, the paperwork on these leads filled 67 boxes. The leads were given to the police, but little was done.
Well, they were manipulating what they were telling everybody is what they were doing because it didn't go along with their theory.
These detectives have discovered an even more dramatic failing in the original investigation. From the very beginning, the Boulder police had DNA evidence now believed to be the killers, but for whatever reason, failed to test it. It was in one of two small blood spots on JonBenet's panties. The police did have one of the spots analyzed. It turned out to be JonBenet's blood, but within it there was a speck of mystery DNA, which was consistent with more mystery DNA found under her fingernails. Both had come from the same unknown white male. It all but cleared the parents, but the Boulder police said nothing.
I'm very upset about it because they have put the Ramsey family through holy hell. You sit down and figure out that they knew in January of 1997 that the DNA found on the child was not John and Patsy Ramsey or any of the Ramsey family.
Worse, the Boulder police failed to request an analysis of the second blood spot on JonBenet's panties. This was only done when an attorney, preparing the evidence for the grand jury, insisted on it 3 years later. The result of the second analysis was a bombshell. While the earlier DNA had been far too weak to identify the killer, the DNA from the second blood spot was almost capable of doing so, and it came from the same white male. It was the most important evidence in the case, and the Boulder police had missed it for 3 years.
It's horrible what happened. I've never seen it before, that kind of length of time would pass.
When the DA's office took over, they gave priority to enhancing the DNA until it identified the killer. His DNA has now been put into CODIS, America's Combined DNA Index. It is the first big breakthrough in the case, but it has not yet thrown up a match, and the forensic scientist responsible urges caution.
I think it would be wrong for them to focus just solely on the DNA, because the DNA, as important of an aspect as it is not the sum total of the investigation. You may never get a hit, because the suspect may never have committed a crime that qualified him to be in the database, or he's just not been caught yet.
Even if the killer is not in the database, investigators think they may, in any case, already have his name. They think it is probably in one of these boxes full of leads which have never been followed up. They have searched and come up with a dozen new suspects. One of them is now their prime suspect. This is why they think he may have done it. 6 weeks after the murder of JonBenet, Boulder District Attorney Alex Hunter invited journalists to a press conference. He ended it with this message.
I want to say something to the person or persons that took this baby from us. The list of suspects narrows. Soon there will be no one on the list but you.
The words had been written by the FBI. It was part of a strategy to use the media to put the killer and any accomplices under pressure. Soon afterwards, car mechanic John Kennedy approached Boulder police to tell them about someone he thought might have been involved in the Ramsey killing. It was this man, Michael Helgoth, who helped run a car salvage yard in Boulder. Helgoth had committed suicide, it was believed, just hours after Alex Hunter's press conference. According to Kennedy and others, he had been violent and bizarre.
He liked shooting guns. He had a little crotch pocket, so he'd reach down and grab it, and he'd point the pistol right at your head and then just shoot off the side of it. And if he just missed a tenth of a second, you'd have a bullet in you. It's kind of unnerving.
I was actually scared. I was standing behind him when the bullets were flying by my head. He would shoot the cats in the back.
I thought that was great sport. He had a fun time with that because he could kill. I think he liked to. Something that he enjoyed quite well. And he ended up getting kittens from the junkyard there, picking them up and just wrenching their neck. was killing them with his bare hands.
It was not only violence against animals that excited Helgoth.
We're walking along, headed toward the house. He just casually comes up and says, I wonder what it'd be like to crack a human skull. And I looked at him and I thought, whoa, I don't want to have this conversation, and just laughed it off.
Helgoth left no suicide note. After his death, Kennedy was asked to go through his possessions. It was while doing this, he began to think Helgoth might have been involved in the killing of JonBenet.
Alex Hunter, where he makes the finger-wagging speech on the 13th, and then Michael dies on the very next day.
Soon there will be no one on the list.
Seems a little suspicious to me.
But you.
But it was more than Alex Hunter's press conference that led Kennedy to suspect Helgoth.
Mike was pretty happy around late November about him and a partner making a killer deal, and they were each going to make $50,000 or $60,000.
The ransom note left at Ramsey home demanded a curious $118,000, close to the amount Helgoth had said he and his unknown partner would make. No ransom was paid.
Then Christmas comes, and then he's really depressed, and there's no money. And then he said that he wanted to crack a human skull, and then she received a crack in her skull. That I felt obligated to go to the police department and tell them what I knew.
John Kennedy provided a very relevant piece of information, in my opinion, that should have been a priority lead for the Boulder Police Department.
I called 10 or 15, 20 times, got no response. So I called sergeants, I called officers, I left messages, no one would call me back.
And one of the reasons that we were interested in that very issue was not just Helgoth.
The new investigators have taken Kennedy's information seriously, and what they have discovered about Helgoth is astonishing. Three months after the murder of JonBenet Ramsey, the Boulder police were told that this man, Michael Helgoth, might have been involved. They ignored the information. But a new team of detectives appointed last year have taken it seriously. They've discovered Helgoth had an infatuation with young girls. A girlfriend says that he actually collected Barbie dolls. She eventually had to take out a restraining order on him to protect her daughter. She had come home unexpectedly one evening and found her on his bed. He was in bed naked. He said he couldn't trust himself with her daughter.
I think that was very relevant to our case. We're looking at a potential pedophile. This has all the characteristics of sexual deviation. The age bracket of the child was within 2 years of the one we were investigating, and I felt that it should go further.
Detectives found out something else about Helgoth that caught their attention. It was among his videos. What they contained, they say, is significant. They found not only a lot of violent scenes like this, but numerous images of children, including this one from the Disney family film The Santa Claus, showing a little girl being awoken by Father Christmas on Christmas Eve.
Your father's here.
Thank you very much.
JonBenet was awoken by someone on Christmas night.
In a lot of these types of investigations, you see that these criminals hide their activity within media. What they do is they'll play a movie, and then somewhere in the middle of the movie, they will put their piece of their criminal activity within that video. And when you look at the Helgoth video, you know, here you have a movie that's playing along, and then all of a sudden you have news coverage of an unsolved murder here in Colorado.
This is the news at 5.
Good afternoon. The news story Helgoth had kept told of the abduction and murder of a 5-year-old girl. It occurred near Boulder 3 years before JonBenet's killing. It too remains unsolved.
That child's body was found stuffed inside a duffel bag in Deer Creek Canyon yesterday.
Yet it was when detectives examined photographs of Helgoth's suicide that they made the most dramatic discoveries. By now it was known that a stun gun had been used to subdue JonBenet.
Do you see here, there's a stun gun. The black object there is a stun gun. Even though it is a different type of stun gun than the one that was used in JonBenet Ramsey, we know that he owned several, including an air taser stun gun. That is the stun gun that we believe was used on JonBenet Ramsey.
It has never been made public, but at the Ramsey home in the small cellar where JonBenet's body was left, 2 different footprints were found. They were made at or near the time of the killing and strengthened suspicions that 2 people might have been involved. One of the footprints was made by a rare high-tech boot.
You notice here these black boots. These are high-tech boots. They're the same kind of boots that left a print in the wine cellar of the Ramsey home.
Investigators managed to get hold of these boots and compared them with a high-tech footprint left in the mold on the cellar floor.
You notice that the high-tech emblem on the right and the impression in the algae on the left are a perfect match. Note the brown material on the left, and note the specks of brown material wedged in the high-tech emblem on the right, which is the same color as the algae that's in the Ramsey basement.
But there is something even more sinister in these photographs. The fatal shot was fired through a pillow.
Note this pillow has a bullet hole through it. See the darkness around the edges where the bullet entered the pillow. This is the other side of the pillow where the bullet went through. Note a little bit of blood from where the bullet entered the body. The significance of the pillow is that it was used as a muffler, and if somebody was going to commit suicide, why are they worried about muffling the shot? He was the only one in the house at the time of death.
It is something which bothers friends who knew Helgoth well.
I doubt it. I doubt it seriously that he would silence a shot. He was so out in the open with it. During the day, he'd pull a .22 out and point it right at your head and just miss you by a little bit, thinking, if he just misses a little, you're going to have a bullet in you. No. No.
The most startling detail, though, is the position of the pistol and the trajectory of the shot.
Notice that the gun is found on Michael's right, and he's right-handed. Notice the bullet hole is on Michael's left, and it goes across the body from left to right, shoulder area. Add to this the gun, about 6 or 8 inches, a pillow that was used to muffle the gun to it, and try to twist your hand around to where you can get a shot that goes across the body from front to back, from left to right, and it's almost impossible to do.
Most people, in my experience, when you see people using a gun to commit suicide, they normally shoot themselves in the head. You know, they'll put the gun in their mouth or under their chin. But in this particular case, it became really odd to us that you would place a pillow on the left side, the guy's right-handed, and that he would then take the gun and bring it around and then try and shoot himself. It doesn't make sense why you would have somebody commit suicide in that manner.
It makes you wonder even more, how did he actually die? The gun, the pillow, him being right-handed are all key factors as to why this could be a homicide and not a suicide. I would bet that this is a murder and not suicide.
The Boulder police have been given the evidence suggesting Helgoth might have been involved in the Ramsey killing and that he might have been murdered. They were unimpressed.
I got the distinct feeling that they had absolutely no interest in anything that took them away from the theory that John and Patsy Ramsey killed their daughter.
Even if that meant ignoring a potential homicide?
Even if it meant ignoring a potential homicide.
So he was still alive, and
for a while.
Obviously his hands became bloody.
He touched him to his forehead.
These detectives do not see Helgoth as the actual killer. In fact, DNA samples taken at a post-mortem show that he was not. But they think he may have been involved. One reason is that they've always believed it likely that more than one person was in the Ramsey home that night. The footprints suggest this, as do the number of objects taken in and out of the house. These include a rope, stun gun, cord, and duct tape. It would have been difficult for just one person to have done everything that was done that night. And the ransom note also suggests that more than one person was involved. It says, "We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction." It warns about the two gentlemen watching over your daughter. Throughout, it refers to the kidnappers in the plural. The new team of detectives think Helgoth may well have been involved as an accomplice of an even more deadly killer, one who later murdered him to stop him talking after Alex Hunter's unnerving press conference. In trying to identify a potential killer, they came up with an important clue. In the months before the murder, up to a dozen homes near the Ramseys were broken into at night. There was a curious pattern to these burglaries. Little or nothing was taken. Detectives believe they were carried out simply for the thrill of stalking others at night. The break-ins stopped abruptly after the murder. The Boulder police did not link them to the murder, but the new investigators believe they might be the key to everything. Because Helgoth, too, used to stalk people at night. It happened to John Kennedy.
I was working on a car late one evening in my garage. I kind of get the feeling there's something out there, and went right up to the window to look. I looked and it was real quiet and I don't see anything. I look again and all I could see were a pair of eyes coming out of the black. I don't know why I figured, well, this could be Michael. So I said, "Is that you, Mike?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, how long you been out there?" And he goes, "Long enough." And he's gone. I thought it was kind of strange.
Helgoth used to stalk people at night, dressed in black ninja clothing. When looking for his possible killer, detectives looked for a violent associate who shared his interest in martial arts and young girls. They immediately came up with one, a close associate who has since disappeared, a man who frightens those around him.
I tried to steer clear of that individual because he could have been, a menace to me or my family.
Were you personally scared of him?
On a level, I'd have to say yes. Absolutely. I think he was capable of being violent towards anybody.
He threatened to cut one of his girlfriend's ears off. His ex-wife, he tried to kill her. They were only married probably 5-6 days.
Helgoth's associate lived in this trailer park near the car salvage yard. The makers of this program know his name, but have decided to withhold it because he has not been charged with any offense. But the more that has been discovered about him, the more he fits the profile of a stalker and a killer.
He was very methodical. He wanted everything down to the last detail. He didn't want anybody else to have any control. If he didn't feel like he was controlling a situation, he would lash out.
Martial arts, he liked those throwing knives, he was into ninja, he was into the dark clothing. He always wore a black t-shirt, black pants, black boots.
Helgoth's associate was convicted following a stabbing here on the trailer park. Witnesses were too frightened to give evidence, but court documents summarized his criminal record as violence, history of sexual assault. They also reveal that he was a convicted pedophile. He was imprisoned in the 1980s for a sexual assault on a child. It is believed that he may have worked in the Ramsey home shortly before the family moved in. Unidentified animal hairs were found in the cellar where JonBenet's body was left. The hairs were of two colors. Helgoth's associate raised wolf dogs whose hairs exactly match those colors. Helgoth had bought 2 of these dogs.
If Michael Helgoth and this one associate that we identified were actually involved in the burglaries, they could have easily been involved in the murder also. There was just too many associated items that could tie him to it. That means that he has to be eliminated. We need DNA from him, wherever he might be.
These investigators see the associate as their prime suspect in the Ramsey case. Tracking him down, they say, is a priority. The need to do so made more urgent by revelations about another horrific crime the Ramsey killer may have committed. 7 years after the murder of JonBenet Ramsey, a prime suspect has been identified for the killing. He's been identified by new investigators, who have also uncovered disturbing facts about another crime he may have committed.
Manpower-wise, with investigators.
It occurred in an affluent area of Boulder, near the Ramsey home, just 9 months after the killing of JonBenet. A mother and her 12-year-old daughter returned to their home here after a visit to the cinema. The girl attended the same dance studio in Boulder as JonBenet. The Dance West studio is now derelict and about to be pulled down. But detectives think the fact that the girl danced here might explain what happened that night. Her father was away on business. When the girl and her mother returned home, they were alone. They are still too upset to talk publicly about what happened next. There was an intruder in their home. The father is anxious to protect the family's identity.
My feeling is he got into the house while they were out and hid inside the house.
After turning on the burglar alarm, the mother went to bed. Sometime later, the intruder crept into the girl's bedroom. He put his hand over her mouth. He used her name and told her he knew her. He began a sexual assault and a possible abduction. But the mother close by was a light sleeper.
My wife heard whispering. She got up, asked if everything was okay. She got a non-committal reply. Thought that there might be someone moving around. She took a can of mace and walked into the other bedroom. And that's when she saw a man there. He ran past her and ran out a bedroom window where he had to jump off the roof.
It was what he was wearing, though, which has intrigued detectives.
He was dressed completely in black from head to foot, like a ninja.
His mask was pulled up. But detectives say the black clothing strengthens their belief that this case may be linked to the Ramsey murder.
And what we found is that there were a lot of similarities between the Dance West case and the Ramsey case. We have a little girl who was in her room right next to her mom and dad. There was an alarm system that was not activated. Somebody entered the home. Somebody assaulted this little girl and then left.
I suggested multiple times that the case seemed very similar to the Ramsey case. When I told the police detectives about this. They said, no, this has no similarity at all.
Frustrated by the attitude of the Boulder police, the parents hired a private detective. He uncovered the same pattern of late-night break-ins that have now caught the attention of detectives investigating the Ramsey murder.
We learned about a series of intrusions and attempted assaults where someone would come home and find someone in their bedroom in the middle of the night, or someone appeared in someone's bedroom in the middle of the night. To me, it's so similar that you'd have to think there's a very good chance that it was the same person, or it may just be that there's a number of lowlives running around. Whether they know each other or not, who knows? The similarities are pretty compelling, though, and it seems to me if you were the police, you'd at least be curious about it rather than not wanting to hear about it.
They would just enter the home in a ninja costume.
All dressed in black.
The detectives now hunting JonBenet's killer are shocked that the lead was ignored.
We never could tie him down.
The fact that Boulder PD ignored information was just absolutely ludicrous. Why are you not taking this information and seeing if it was related to the Ramsey case? You have an obligation as a law enforcement agency to take these facts and either eliminate it or say, guess what, it is part of the Ramsey homicide.
While dismissing any link to the Ramsey case, the Boulder police dismayed the parents by questioning their daughter's school friends, in the process revealing what had happened to her, something she wanted kept secret.
If I had to rate the police performance in this case on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd rate it a -10, because it was not only incompetent and dishonest in that they would tell us they were doing things that they didn't do. Not only that, but it caused additional harm to a victim.
You know, in the Dance West case, you know, the victim alerts mom and is able to get up and leave.
These detectives believe, had the mother not awoken and disturbed the intruder, it could have gone badly for her too. The parents are only too aware of this.
The possibility that it could have turned out the same way is pretty obvious, and then you'd have the police saying, well, it's clear that the parent must have done it because nobody else could get in there. But for my wife being a light sleeper, we might be in the newspapers now, as well as the Ramseys.
Today, the Ramseys live in Charlevoix, North Michigan. They are still grieving and are now impoverished. Before the murder of her daughter, Patsy Ramsey had ovarian cancer. When it returned last year, she had no medical insurance. At 60, John Ramsey has considered taking a job as a carpenter to survive. They are involved in a libel action against a US TV station and have been advised not to give interviews. But they gave one to us earlier. Nothing has changed since.
Regretfully, the police walked into our home that morning and said, oh, murdered child, parents asleep, must have been the parents.
Everything
and focused on that from day one. And God knows whether we'll ever be able to capture the murderer or not.
You know, a murder took away the Ramsey's daughter, but we took away everything else. When I say we, I mean society. All of us. The police and press included. Now we have a chance to rectify the situation. We have a chance to identify a perpetrator in this case.
The problem is that the Boulder District Attorney's Office is neither funded nor resourced to run police investigations. And most people in Boulder just want to forget what has happened and move on. There is now public pressure to save money and abandon the investigation in the hope that one day the DNA database will come up with a hit. As an elected official, the district attorney ignores such at her peril. But if the investigation is abandoned, none of the suspects that have been identified will ever be pursued. The detectives involved are appalled.
For the first time in 7 years, this case has the ability to be solved. And to let it go would be a travesty.
I mean, there's a little girl who's dead, and it doesn't seem right that no one cares, that the person who committed that crime is still walking around.
I don't know whether this person or persons are still in Boulder. You know, they may have, by this time, be in Timbuktu. Who knows? But we can find them. If a proper investigation is conducted, I think it'll happen. And yes, continue to hold your babies close. It is not la-la land. We had a false sense of security about Boulder. We thought it was a nice, quaint, small town.
They say people get the government they deserve, and in this case, they get the police department they deserve. The fact that the people of the city are not outraged by murders and sexual assaults and the failure of the police department to demonstrate the most minimal competence or interest in dealing with this just says to me that's the kind of police department that people of Boulder want.
Keep Boulder DA involved as the coordinating tool, like you say.
Given that they now have the killer's DNA, these detectives believe that to do what must be done would take 6 detectives about 6 months. They believe every police force in Colorado would be happy to help. If only Boulder has the courage to admit that it needs help.
If you let yourself think that somebody is going to get away with this, then you've just lost all hope. And it's just unbearable. So until we are no longer around, we are committed to finding this person.